My dad says to my mum after they got out of prison, why don't we go terrorise an airport for no reason at all? We could spend all day there, bomb in the planes, it would be great. Yeah, Mum said, it would be great. So now my mum and dad took all kinds of weapons and they went to Manchester. First of all, they had to look for a bus to get to Manchester Airport. So now my mum and dad went to this bus stop and there were hundreds of buses, hundreds and hundreds of them. It was then my dad noticed the bus opposite. It said Manchester Airport. My mum and dad poured into the bus. They sat down and waited. Then suddenly it appeared. A terrifying creature called the bus conductor. He gets to my mum and dad and he says, "Hello, can I see your tickets, please?" Dad said, "No." The bus conductor said, "Look, I've got to see your tickets." And Dad said, "You asked us a question and I answered that same question, so shut the fuck up." The bus conductor said, "Right. If you don't stop it, I'm going to call the police." And then that really does it. My dad took his gun out of his pocket and he put it very carefully between the bus conductor's eyes on the bridge of his nose. And he said, "I had hoped that it wouldn't be necessary for me to tell you how to shut the fuck up, but if I hear about your tickets, the police, or it being absolutely necessary for you to see our tickets, if I hear about any of it once more, I shall blow your head off and leave you by the side of the road. Do you understand?" Look, he says, "Look, this is really dangerous, you know." Dad said, "Ha, that's why I'm doing this." And then he pulled the trigger. And the bus conductor bangs against the wall really loud. There was an awful yelling and crying. There was the noise of someone shouting. Dad said, "I don't suppose you'll ask for our tickets again, will you?" "I don't suppose I will." And then he just fell over and died. "That's a shame." Dad said, another spoonful, anyone? Do you want a knife in your head? Let me do it." Meanwhile, people ran away like mad. My dad took control of the bus and he ran them over, and there was blood all round the streets. There was the noise of people dying. As the bus rushed down the street. Not long after, the bus crashed right into an airport. It was then my mum and dad got up and ran out the door and got away as fast as they could. "Stop right there. Criminals come," said security guard. "You violated the law." Dad said, "I don't suppose I can persuade you with a rather nice bag of plums or some clit sauce." And he said, nobody at all breaks the law on my watch. Do you understand?" So my dad goes, "Okay, Mum, okay." It was then my mum took out her shotgun and murdered the security guard. And it went like this. No breathing. There was blood on his face and he screamed, heads. There was a great big hole in his face and then he just fell over. Suddenly, he flaps his hands. He blows, he puffs, he yells, he bobs his head up and down. My dad, what does he do? Hard luck, security guard. Always knew you were a shitty enforcer. It was then my mum and dad ran into Manchester Airport. And there were hundreds of people, hundreds and hundreds of them. Dad screamed, "Watch out, everybody. My trigger finger needs some exercise." And he began to murder people like mad. Die, bitch, die. There's my mum, she's doing the same. So now my dad took hundreds of grenades out of his pocket, hundreds and hundreds of them. Grenades rolled through the terminal, blowing up stuff. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And that includes 48 security guards. Do you know, at the beginning of the shooting, there were 400 people in Manchester Airport. At the end of the shooting, there were only 5 of them left. So now my mum and dad ran onto the runway. My dad ran and jumped on this plane that was waiting to get away. It was then my dad stuffs a great big bomb into the engine and he jumped off. Slam! The aeroplane took off and flew into the air, and all the people heard the terrible noise. There was an awful yelling and crying. Then suddenly it exploded into the air in a flash. Dad said, "Look at that. Not a plane in sight." Anyway, after a few hours of this, my mum and dad tried something new. They both poured into another aeroplane and turned it into a bomb plane. Blimey. So what happened? My mum and dad began to bomb the airport. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Everyone inside died. Suddenly, my mum and dad heard a terrible noise, and it was the noise of police sirens. The aeroplane took off, and my mum and dad got away as fast as they could. But it was then a police helicopter appeared. It shot explosive shit. It was then my dad noticed the woman beneath. She was watching my mum and dad, and it was Queen Fathouse from the cafe shooting. Not long after, my mum and dad crashed right into a crash. Slam! Once more, there were police sirens. They were surrounded. It was then the police officer called Georgie appeared and said, "Oh no, not you two again. Surely not. I thought you would have learned your lesson, but now..." My dad went off behind the curtains and Georgie said, "Now put your hands up into the air once more. There's my mum." Georgie said, "Right, boys, arrest these rats." Suddenly, my dad appeared on his motorbike. Whoosh! And he grabbed my mum and he ran Georgie over. Slam! And off they go. At that, Georgie goes and stands up. He just stands up. Ha! All his clothes were torn. There was blood on his face and he screamed, "Quick! Catch that bitch!" At that, the police officer got up and ran after my mum and dad. So Georgie got into his car as fast as he could. My mum and dad escaped, but not for long. Kaboom, 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 kaboom. CaptainPlums.